upload applications to the App Store. So here is the agenda for today. I will talk about iTunes Connect a little bit. I prepared a little bit of demo. And after, in the second part of the presentation, I would like to talk about what kind of problems you can encounter during this process. And after it, just a quick summarize about the learnings. Just a quick survey: how many of you used iTunes Connect before, and how many of you uploaded application to the App Store? So a big part. Okay. I hope I can tell you new information as well. But now let's start with the basics. iTunes Connect. So basically, iTunes Connect is the website. It's Apple's site. This is where you can manage your applications, change title, description, and every details of it. From Xcode, you have to upload your build to this website, and from here you can send the application to the review and after to the store. So what features does the iTunes Connect website has? The main part, the biggest part is the app management. This is the part where you work the most. Also, it has statistics information where you can see, for example, how many downloads your application has, where these users are coming from, who are watching the page of your application in the App Store. Also, it has sales reports. If you have paid application or purchases, you can see the sales statistics. And also user management, you can invite users who can manage your applications for you. How can you access this website? So there are two options here. Either you have to have with your Apple ID, Apple Developer Program Access. iTunes Connect website comes with it. And if you work with a client, you have to ask access for this site. And it's pretty good to know that this iTunes Connect is separated site from the developer portal. So if you started working with the client, you have to ask to access, one for the developer portal and one for iTunes Connect. Of course, iTunes Connect only if you are the one who uploads the build to the store, to iTunes Connect, and if you are the one who sends this build to review. Basically, there are three main roles for this website. So you can ask developer role, but this is the most basic one. With developer role, you can upload the build to the iTunes Connect website, but I believe you are not able to change the title description, and you cannot send the application to review. If you want to do that, you have to ask either app manager or admin role. The difference, one of the differences between the two is app manager can only see certain applications, and with admin permission, you will see every application this developer portal, developer membership has. So how the upload process works? You have to start with the developer portal. First, you have to create an app ID in the developer portal and, of course, generate all the necessary provisioning profiles. And if that's done, you can work with iTunes Connect from that moment. And I believe I won't tell you more about this, but instead I will show you a quick demo how this upload thing works and how iTunes Connect looks like. So let's change this. Okay, so first you have to work with Xcode. You have to create an archive of your application. This archive is basically just a release build of your application, and it will show up in the organizer here. You have to select the application you want to upload, hit the upload to App Store button, and here you will see a few steps before the upload begins. Apple pre-checks some things with your build. You have to select the provisioning profile you prepared before in the developer portal, and also a distribution certificate. And if everything goes well, you will see a quick summarize of your application. For example, here you can see it has push notification in it, application name, and you can start the upload process. So here, I believe Apple checks your build and tries to find some problems which you can fix before you send the application to review. For example, now, as you can see, I already uploaded this version and build number to iTunes Connect, so I cannot upload it again. It's good to know that in iTunes Connect, you have to upload the latest build. You have the build number and version number. You cannot upload the same build number twice, and I believe you cannot upload a smaller build number for the same version. Because I'm having this build in iTunes Connect, I just quitting Xcode now and show you how the iTunes Connect website works and looks like. So basically, these are the main features which I showed you before: app management, analytics, sales statistics, and user roles. But now we concentrate the applications. This is my personal account, by the way. So this is an application which I uploaded a few years ago. It's not available in the store anymore. But I can show you that if you want to create a new application, you have to click this plus button. As you can see, you can create app bundles as well. And if you hit the new app, this is everything you have to fill to appear a new application here. And the reason I told you that in Developer Portal you have to create an app ID, because in the bundle ID section, Apple will list you all the bundle IDs you already have in the app ID section in the Developer Portal. So you need to have that. And just a note, we have this SKU number. This has to be a unique number in the App Store. Usually I just put the bundle ID, which is also a unique string, so that should be fine. So after you have this application, you can check the details. And so you need to have this application before you start uploading app to the App Store. And in the Activity tab, you can see all the builds you uploaded before. When you first upload from Xcode, you will see strings as processing here. So you cannot work with your build instantly. You have to wait until this processing finishes, which takes about 15 minutes or so. This processing checks some other things of in your application, and after it finishes, you will have an email notification about it. After it finished, you can check some details of your application. For example, if you use app thinning, you can see the application sizes, how much space does it need in each device. And if the processing is done, then you can either send it to test flight to your testers, or you can modify the app details and send it to review. Also, here in the Features tab, you can set up in-app purchases, Game Center stuff, promotion codes, things like this. So in the App Store section, in the App Information tab, there are some basic information like application name, subtitle, also the category. I hope this will load up. Yeah, sometimes this happens. Okay, so name, subtitle, category. And also you can, of course, change the pricing and availability. And here you can see all the versions you already had and the ones which you will submit now. Here you can add new version. Currently it's not active because I already have a version which I want to upload, so you cannot prepare two versions at once. And here you can see all the details which your application has for this particular version. So for example, what's new in this section, you can see the screenshots, description, basic stuff. And down here, you can see two very important sections. The first one is the app review information. This is a section where you can send message to the review team. And it's very important because if you fill this properly and give enough details, your app review will be accepted, hopefully instantly. But if the review team doesn't know how your application works, then probably they will reject it, and you have to work with the review process more. Also here you can give login informations if necessary, but please note that you want to upload to the App Store, so these have to be like live accounts. In some applications, it's very hard to give live accounts to the review team, but if possible, you should give. And also, I believe it's very important, the version release part. You have two options, manual release or automatic release. With manual release, if your application goes through the review process, then it won't be available in the store automatically, but you have to press a button. So you can specify when your application should be live. And with the automatic one, it automatically submits to the store, basically. My preference is manual release. I tell you later why. So yeah, and one more thing, here in the build section, you can select the build you uploaded, and if it's selected, then you can save and submit the application to review. And there are some basic questions. I didn't use encryption, and I didn't use advertising ID. And if everything goes well, then the application status will change to pending. No, it will change to waiting for review. And after a few days, you will either get accepted, or the review team will send you a message what they found which they don't like. If you want to know how much the review process takes, there is a website for it, app review times. You can check it for iOS and Mac applications. Also, there is a Twitter channel for it. And you can get daily notifications about this. Okay, I believe let's get back to the slides. So this was the iTunes Connect part, and let's see what problems you can encounter with when you submit your application to the store. So first one is error during uploading the IPA file from Xcode. Basically, as I said, Xcode does some pre-check of your application, and if you forget some basic things, it will give you either an error or a warning. For example, if you want to upload a tablet application and you forget to add some required images, like app image, then Xcode will tell you you should add this and this image to the application before uploading to iTunes Connect. I believe these are pretty straightforward errors, so it's either you know what to do, or if you don't, then you just Google it, and I'm pretty sure that the first search result will give you the answer for your question. The second one is the processing state. After you upload it from Xcode, there is this processing state of your application. Apple server processes your app, the IPA file, and I encountered a few times that this processing takes very, very long time. Usually it's about 15 minutes, but sometimes it takes hours or even days to finish this processing. And because it's Apple's ecosystem, you cannot do anything about it. You cannot stop it, cannot restart it. So my solution for this is, before you send the IPA to the iTunes Connect website, there is an Apple developer status page. You can check it and check if the iTunes Connect website has any problems or not at the moment. And if not, then you should upload the application. Hopefully then the processing won't get long. Also, if also if you try to upload a new build with a new build number and the previous one didn't finish processing, you can hope that the second one will finish earlier than the previous one. And by the way, the fact that the processing took very long doesn't mean that your application has any problems. Sometimes just the Apple ecosystem does this. And also, I'm not sure this works most of the times, but I read in the forums that for some users it worked when they modified the application description, and then the processing for them finished. So maybe you can try that one also. Okay, the next one is, during the review process, Apple finds something which they don't like and reject your application. So basically, this can be basically anything. For example, you uploaded some screenshots they don't like, you put some icon to the application which they own and they don't want you to use it. They require some legal documents before they can allow your application, or they don't know how to test your application because the login details did not work for them. There are a lot of reasons here. My recommendation here is to read the App Store review guidelines. This is basically Apple's legal document about what you can do with your application, with what you can do and not do if you want to upload an application. You should be familiar with this. And this is important because most of the times, if Apple has some problem with your application, they give you a section from these review guidelines. So they refer to it also. If you understand what the problem, there are two ways, I believe. Either you have to create a new build, or you can just write to the review team a message. If you have to create a new build, you have to start the process over again. So Xcode build, upload, wait for the process finished, and then send a new build to review. It will be a completely new review, but Apple will see the previous messages you sent each other. And if you don't have to create a new build, then you just write some message to Apple. You can argue about the things they said, and then you don't have to press any button. After you send your message to the review team, they will continue the review after about 1 day. Also, if you don't know what their problem is, you can get a clarification of an app rejection. There is a website for it. In the later slides, I will have it, so you can find it there. And also, you can appeal an app rejection if you think that the reason they wrote you is not valid. And also a good trick, if nothing helps, then you can write a message to the review team that here is my phone number, please give me a call because I don't know what you want. And usually they will call you after a few days. You can get information what their problem is, and hopefully then you can solve it. For example, we had a few months ago an application, and we didn't understand what Apple wants from us. So we asked this recall, and turned out that they need some legal documents between companies because we sent an application which had a brand, but with another company, and they didn't understand what's the connection between the two companies. Yes. And the last thing, which is very bad if your application stucks in an inconsistent state. So this is a past example. We created an application, set it to manual release, and we had to release this application in a certain time when the backend team published some changes. It was a major application release, and we changed a lot of things in it. And the old application version, which was in the store, wasn't compatible with the new backend, sadly. So we hit the release to the App Store button around midnight when the backend team finished their work. And this process, while your application goes through all the stores, can take up about 1 hour or so. So we started to wait, and after about 2-3 hours, we saw that something is not okay. We tried to check the application in different stores. For example, in the German store, we saw an old application version, but old description, old screenshots. And in other stores, we saw new description, old screenshots, or old description, new screenshots. And also in other stores, we saw new description, new screenshots, but no store downloaded the latest application version. So this is very annoying. And also in iTunes Connect, in the list page, we saw ready for sale, which means the app is basically live in the App Store. But in the detail page, we saw pending developer release, which means we have to press the button which releases the app, but the button wasn't there. So in this state, it's also, you cannot do anything about it. It's Apple's platform. What we tried is we wanted to call the support, but the support wasn't open. So one of my colleagues called the Asian support, and in this, if you call the support, you have to prepare a few things. For example, your name, email address, application name, bundle ID, and regions where your application is available. And turned out that Apple guarantees new builds appear in the App Store in 24 hours, which we didn't know, and I believe it's not documented in any place. So it's good to know. But it's good if you give a call to them, because you will get a case number, and later, if the problem does not get solved, then you can refer to this case number if you call the support again. Yes, and that's why I'm telling you that you should always check the manual release for your application. And before you press the release button, of course, you should check the iTunes Connect status page and also the Apple status page. These two different websites, the one shows the iTunes Connect status and the other the App Store and Mac App Store status. And turned out later that there was some problem with the iTunes Connect website, and that's why we had these problems. So we started to check the site. Yeah, other thing you could try, we didn't try it, we wanted, but we didn't have the opportunity. You can try to send a new application version, the same content, basically almost the same build, and you can get expedited review for it, and you can write in the description that you have problems with the previous version, and maybe they will read this description before your problem is solved. So these were the problems I encountered with. I believe there are a lot of problems you can encounter with. We cannot list all of them, but hopefully I told you some useful informations. And let's see what we talked about. So I think you should read the App Store review guidelines, and also you can get email notification if something changes in the review guidelines. So this is a really good start if you want to distribute applications to the App Store. You can check the average App Store review time in this website and also in their Twitter channel. Before you sending builds to the iTunes Connect website, you should check the developer system status and check if iTunes Connect have some problems or not. Fill as much information in the review team for the review team as you can. You should provide some login details. You can also post video about your application. And by the way, I did not mention, but we had an application release where we wanted to send the app to review, but the backend system wasn't in production yet. So this is a really hard thing. I didn't think that it will go through the review process, but we told to the review team that this is a live bank account. We cannot provide you account details, and we provided a video how it looks like in the inside, and they actually approved the application, which is good. And also you can argue with the Apple review team. And if you don't understand why Apple keeps rejecting your build, you can ask clarification, or you can ask them to call you back, so you know what to do. And last but not least, avoid using automatic release if it's possible, and always check the developer system status and the normal system status before you press these buttons. I really hope that I told you some useful informations, and thank you for your attention. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Yes. Yes. I have no idea. Basically, this question mark there, it only tells that it should be unique in the whole App Store, just like your app ID. But actually, I don't know how they use it, how Apple uses it. And also, it does not appear in any place in the App Store. So you can only see it in iTunes Connect. I believe it's some internal ID which they use. If no question, then thank you very much.